Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ollie, and on my channel I talk about teaching English overseas and living in South America. I am so excited about today's video. It is episode 1 in my traveling teacher series where I interview teachers from all over the world about their experience teaching English and living in a foreign country. My first guest on the traveling teacher series is my good friend Nicole, who talks about teaching English in Bolivia, the heart of South America. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel to stay updated with everything happening with the traveling teachers series and teaching English and living in South America. Let's get to it. Okay, welcome everybody to the first episode of Traveling Teachers. I am so excited about this episode. I have my great friend Nicole joining us today. Hello, Nicole.
Hey, Ollie. Thanks for having me. Such an honor
worries.
to be in your first episode.
Great. Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm from London and I have been an ESL teacher for approximately 3 years. I've been in Bolivia for around 8 years, and thanks to that, I'm fluent in both languages. I'm finishing my psychology degree here and loving life in Bolivia.
Awesome. And what brought you to Bolivia? Like, why Bolivia? Tell me why.
Okay, well, basically, my mum is Bolivian, and I've always wanted to go to Bolivia, but it's always been really expensive to travel from the UK to Bolivia, so I never really got the chance to see it properly. And I've just always been in love with the culture, with the language, the food, and just knowing that it's just completely different to the UK. Like, I'm from cloudy, rainy London, and you see pictures of Bolivia, and it's just sunny, and it's just a whole different climate. And yeah, that just really
So right
caught my eye.
now you live in La Paz, but you were living in what city before La Paz?
I was living in Santa Cruz. I only recently came to La Paz around 6 months ago, just working online. But up until then, I'd been in Santa Cruz all this time.
Little secret, guys. Nicole and I actually work together in the same school. It's called Language Connection. You can follow them on Instagram if you like.
Yeah, we recommend that you do. We have loads of updates, so many classes, like pretty much for everybody, right? From someone who's just wanting to start their English journey, like not knowing a word of English, to people who really advanced and exam prep.
Yeah, exactly right. And have you been working at Language Connection the whole time you've been teaching ESL?
No, so before working at Language Connection, I was working as an English tutor, really. I would go to students' houses and help them with their English homework, teaching them privately. I'd have like 2 students maximum at a time, but it would get a bit hectic, like going from house to house, like 4 different houses in one afternoon. It was like, that was kind of hectic.
Yeah, that's quite crazy, especially in the Santa Cruz traffic as well.
Yeah, and I was just learning to drive, so I was just like, I need to go to my next house. Like, it was
So
intense.
you said you were doing psychology at university. What got you into ESL teaching? Like, why ESL teaching?
Well, I've always, when I was a kid, I'd have my whiteboard, like, I'll pretend to be a teacher kind of thing. I love being a teacher. And I don't know, I think at the time when I was first starting out as an English teacher, I was young. I was like 17 or 18.
Wow.
And yeah, so at first it started off with like just trying to save up a little bit, trying to get a bit of cash for myself kind of thing, and kind of learning on the job. And it wasn't until I applied to for a job at Language Connection that I wanted to take my English teaching career seriously.
Yeah, tell us about Language Connection. How did you actually find the school?
It It was just one day I was just on Facebook and just scrolling, and I saw Language Connection, and they said native teachers, and I was like, oh wow, like maybe I'll just drop them a message saying, hey, I'm British, kind of thing. I've got like a bit of experience teaching privately. And it wasn't until I received an email saying, hey, that they wanted to meet me, and I went and observed a class. And at 7 o'clock, it was a 7 a.m. class, I remember.
Wow.
And Miranda, actually, she was the one who was giving the class, and then she gave me like a short interview, and then I kind of like passed that round with her, and then she was like, okay, I really like you, so I'd like you to meet the next the two other directors, pretty much, because there's three of them, and they make decisions together. So I met them, and here we are now, still there.
Did you contacted them on Facebook or Facebook first?
Yeah, I contacted them on Facebook.
So crazy, right? I was exactly the same. I saw a note from the director on Facebook, and I thought, yeah, I'm just going to message and see what happens. It's crazy that you can find jobs these days teaching in South America on Facebook. The world we live in.
But my mentality is always like, if you don't lose anything by trying. Like the worst they can say is no. So
no, exactly. And I'm moving to Brazil next month, actually, and I messaged the school that I'm going to work at on Instagram.
Oh, really? It was on Instagram?
Well, initially, it was on Instagram, and then more formal by email. But that's quite funny, right?
It's a different kind of world here in South America.
It is. And what's a typical day like for you as an ESL teacher in Bolivia? Do you work in the morning? Do you work during the day? Do you work in the evening? Or tell me just in general about your school.
Okay, well, before the pandemic, I would work in the afternoons from 4 o'clock teaching teens, 2 classes of teens, and then my adults classes from 7 until 9. But I chose to work only in the afternoon, mainly because the commute of going in and out of the institute, it was just like, it was a bit of a hassle, and I don't live as close as the other teachers do. So that's why I was mainly dedicated to working in the afternoons. But now, during the pandemic, now that we're working online, my schedule's a bit all over the place. I've got kids in the morning from 8 o'clock until 9:15. Then I might have a private class at 1, then teens at 4, and then working from 4 until 9. So that's a bit all over the place. But I love it because, like, from 9 o'clock, like, I finish at 9:15, and then if I have a private class at 1, I've still got like 4 hours to myself. And sometimes I won't have a private class, and my first class will start at 4. So that's pretty much a whole day that you've got for yourself, and then you're working in the afternoon.
Yeah, the ESL world is quite not funny in that sense. It makes sense that people either learn between 7 and 9 in the morning, or from 4 till 9 or even 10 o'clock. Some schools in the evening. It's just when people are available, right?
Yeah, exactly, and it depends on people's schedules, and especially like the age group as well. If you're teaching kids, teens, adults, the adults are mainly, they seem to be more available at either late at night, 7 until 9, or really early in the morning before they have to go to work.
Yeah,
so and we kind of had to adapt to that.
Sorry, what courses do you teach?
At the moment, I'm teaching, well, kids. I'm doing level 2 and 3, so that would be, now would be kind of intermediate, right? Yeah, level 3 is intermediate. With teens, I'm teaching beginners and also intermediate, and adults the same. I have had classes prepping students for the TOEFL exam, and in the past I've also taught teens. I think I've taught all the levels in the teens one.
And talking about your school, is there any sort of like training or support that they give you for teacher development?
Oh my God, the support is unbelievable. Basically every Friday we have a meeting where we're just learning new. It's not really a meeting, it's more like a workshop, right? Where we learn we're either refreshing ourselves on things, or we're learning new things on how to make our freer activities more dynamic, how to make classroom activities funner, and how to make our time, or make our role as a teacher, the most efficient as it could be.
Yeah, they're kind of like CELTA input sessions, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Speaking of the CELTA, what qualifications did you need to get a job at a native speaker school in Bolivia?
Well, when I started out, they asked me if I was enrolled in any university kind of studies, and I did say I was in my final year of university, and they asked me if I had a CELTA. At the time, I didn't have a CELTA, and they hired me with the promise that I would get a CELTA, which fulfilled my promise. I kept my word, and I did get it.
Where did you do the CELTA?
I did it in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and I highly recommend it. It was great. It was one of the most difficult experiences of my life, but also one of the best experiences.
Hey, I'm going to let everybody know. I love sharing your news. Nicole got a pass A. Woo woo! Go, Nicole! You deserve that. You're such a great teacher. Whenever I need like a problem, I go to Nicole. Nicole, give me an idea for this. I don't know what to do here. And she's so good. So yeah, drop her a comment and she'll definitely be able to help you out.
No, but it was hard work. It was a lot of late nights staying up and just like lesson planning or whatever. But you were a big part of it, because before I did my CELTA, you're like, you're coming back with an A.
I can't come back with an A. I knew you were.
Yeah, well, I kind of felt like, oh my God, I need to come back and make Ollie happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm so proud of you. You've done such an amazing job, and you have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you.
Going back to talking about qualifications and stuff, just for perspective, people, if they are thinking about Bolivia, because I don't know if many people, when they think about ESL teaching, they think about Bolivia at all. The school we work at is a native English speaker school. Are there any other opportunities for people who aren't native speakers to come here and work?
I think, well, maybe
you go.
No, I was going to say that many other institutes here, they do offer jobs to people who aren't native speakers, but they do have to have a high level of English. I'm sure they'd have to show some kind of
certificate, right?
Yeah, some kind of certificate, maybe an exam like from Cambridge or something to show that they do dominate the language. Yeah,
the English level proficiency. And what in terms of salary, because everyone wants to know about money and stuff like that. You know, Bolivia is known for not being one of the richest countries in the world. What is it in terms of like, how far does your salary go in terms of cost of living, buying things in the grocery store? Can you save money to travel?
I'm really happy with my salary here. I never go without, and it does give me the opportunity to save. And I do, thanks to you, because you've taught me to save.
Getting a lot of credit this episode.
What was I going to say? That every time I get my salary, I will put away a certain amount of money each month, and that will go towards my savings, and that will hopefully go to any future travels. And it is easy to save on a salary with it being an ESL teacher here. And the food here isn't expensive. Like if you wanted to go to the supermarket, for example, like a bag of milk. It sounds weird saying a bag of milk, but that's how it comes. They are bags. They're not like cartons or boxes or whatever. They're bags. But anyway, a bag of milk will cost you 5 Bolivianos, which would be like 50 pence, right? And that's like a liter of milk.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, this is UK. I don't know how much would that be in dollars?
Maybe like 75 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not too much. It's like less than half of the price. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's not expensive to live here.
No, it's not. And the rent as well. Like I can afford rent without struggling, and yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Awesome. So when you first arrived in Bolivia, did you face any like challenges in terms of language barriers, culture shock? Tell me about like the experience of arriving in a country.
Yeah, I barely spoke the language. I know I said my mom's Bolivian, but I've always spoken to my mom in English, and we didn't. Yeah, I just always spoken to her in English. So when I got here, I was 16 when I arrived, and I had finished school in the UK, and I was starting A levels. But I came here and I had to do 2 more years to be able to finish school. So I remember getting all my books and reading the contents page. I'm like, I don't understand a word. I couldn't understand a word from the contents page. And I remember this horrible, horrible system of doing, like, it's just doing presentations every single week. So imagine being so self-conscious about not being able to speak the language, and then having to stand in front of a classroom and talk about Bolivian history that I don't know. So that was a massive challenge.
Well,
that was
seems,
really, really big challenge.
that seems terrible. How did you do it?
I did it. Don't know how, but I did it. And I think also my boyfriend helped me a lot because he's from Bolivia. So he would practice with me. He, like, instead of when I'd say, what does this word mean? He wouldn't try to translate it directly. He would always try to explain the words to me in other words in Spanish. And I think that helped me so much. That just helped me remember the words, because I think if he'd have done it the way just what it meant, we would have forgotten like 2 seconds later.
Yeah, no, that's
But
great.
yeah,
That's great.
and what else? The food is different as well. That was a big culture. Like there's no McDonald's here. There's no McDonald's here. I do like the food.
There's no McDonald's here.
It's just I think there are like 6 countries in the world where there are no McDonald's, and Bolivia just happens to be one of them. But yeah, I do like the food. Even it's a lot of rice, potatoes, a lot of meat. It's hard to be vegan or vegetarian here, to be honest. That's something to be aware of.
And so you've been here for 8 years now, which is a long time for a traveling teacher. Do you feel Bolivian? Do you feel Bolivian in your heart now, or how do you feel?
I think when I got here, I did feel more British than Bolivian, even though I'm half, right? My dad's British, my mum's Bolivian, but I was born and raised in the UK. But now I do think it's half and half. Like when I do go to London to visit the family, I'm like, oh, I'm home now, kind of thing. Then when I come back to Bolivia, it's like, oh, I'm home now. So I do feel like I do have 2 homes. I feel half and half.
That's awesome. That's so nice. That's so nice. Yeah, I kind of feel a little bit, I mean, not Bolivian, but I've been in Bolivia for 2 years now, and I feel like I've just created a brand new life for myself. Like in South America, I can't see myself leaving South America anytime soon. I love it here. It's so good.
I think you've adapted well, to be honest, to South America, because it's such a big change from Australia to South America.
Oh God, it's so different, isn't it? In so many ways.
Well, I imagine. I've never been to Australia, but
I remember in my first 3 weeks here, I lost my phone. I had some problems with the law. So my first month here was quite hectic. Yes. I was thinking, oh, should I even be in this, this part of the world? But I'm so happy I stuck it out because I bloody love it here.
Me too. I'm glad you stayed.
All right.
You did have a bumpy ride at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to go back to ESL teaching. When you first started teaching in the school you're currently at now, Language Connection, what challenges did you have in terms of, because you're fluent in the language, we try not to use Spanish in class. What were some challenges to teaching in groups, to not using the language? Tell me about your experience.
I think my biggest challenge, to be honest, was the fact that I started off as a young teacher. I was 23 when I started teaching at Language Connection, and I had adults who were like in their 40s maybe, or in their 50s, and I was telling them what to do, kind of thing. And I was kind of like, oh my god, they're not going to listen to me, they're not going to respect me, kind of thing. And I think but that was kind of like I don't know, kind of like something that was just in my mind, kind of thing, that I'm younger than most of these. Like I wasn't that much older than those teens either, that some of them were 18, for example, 9 or 17. So it wasn't that big of an age gap. But with the language, yeah, it's really tempting to speak in Spanish if you see them struggling. That's big temptation.
Especially the kids, right?
Yes, it is a big temptation.
Yeah.
But it's trying to, even though they do feel a bit lost sometimes, like, oh my god, the teacher's speaking in English, kind of thing, like we're still speaking in English, it does help them a lot. Like even what I was just saying earlier, how my boyfriend would help me learn Spanish by explaining things in other Spanish words, and that helped me a lot. So I think that they're with us for like an hour and 15 minutes every day. This is our hour and 15 minutes to just expose them 100% to our language, right? And that's what they're there for. So
Yeah,
they can't get that outside of our class.
No, because the city that we live in, Santa Cruz, not many people speak English in this city, do they?
Yeah, kind of. Some people,
So, right?
like if you go to the market, if you go to the market, for example, and you want to buy, I don't know, your groceries, and you don't speak a word of Spanish, that you might struggle a bit. But when you're making friends and you're starting to build like your social circle, you might find people that have had English classes in the past or are learning English, because now I think people are starting to realize how important English is for your curriculum, for your future, any job prospects. So they are taking it seriously.
Yeah, awesome. And you said that you, when you went into an adult class, you felt a little bit intimidated by the fact that they were all older than you. Tell me about the support network that you've received from like the community of teachers and your bosses at the school. Is there sort of like a, is there a community that you have, or is it just like everyone comes to work and then leaves?
Definitely not. I think that was my favorite part of working at Language Connection, that we have a community like within the teachers, and also our bosses. Like there were 4 of us that were starting out at Language Connection at the same time. So in their own free time, they would say, if any of you guys need help, lesson planning, for example, we'll be here on Thursdays from this time to this time. You can just come in and we can talk about what you're planning on teaching, blah, blah, blah. So it was a massive support system. And the fact that they hired us kind of like not only on our qualifications or our experiences, but our personalities as well. So we all kind of fit together as a group. So I think we make an excellent group. We're friends, and we always help each other out, right?
Yeah. So you're back now. Yeah, so it's basically a school that has teachers from native English speaking countries. We have the UK, we have the US, we have Australia, and yeah, that's about it. Awesome, Nicole. All right. In terms of cities in Bolivia, what city, if people are thinking about moving to Bolivia to teach English, where can people get like the highest salary? Where is the best standard of living, in your opinion? Because you've traveled around the country, you know this country so well.
I think it would be Santa Cruz, to be honest. Santa Cruz.
And I mean, the only native English school is Language Connection, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen any other native institutes or native schools where we're not just natives, but we're also CELTA qualified. So that's a big thing. But I think if you are looking to come to Bolivia to teach English, you want the experience, but you also want to save, I would recommend going to Santa Cruz, to be honest.
Yeah, you spoke about what people should look for and saving money. What do you think they should look for in a school in Bolivia? Like, do you think that they need to look for a school where they'll help with visas, where they have like a local person who speaks Spanish and can help them go to the doctors, can navigate all the sort of formalities of life? Nicole's my resident doctor, everybody. My resident
Definitely.
translator. I know when I moved here, I was super nervous because, you know, I didn't speak Spanish, and I put a lot of trust in the school that they were going to organize my visa. They were going to help me with accommodation. They were going to basically, you know, be my mum and dad overseas. And that really appealed to me. And what do you think?
No, I definitely agree. Like, I think if you're coming by yourself to a country that you've never been to before, you don't speak the language, it's not just arriving and just doing your job, but you're just teaching. No, like, you need that support system outside of the classroom as well. Basic things like opening a bank account where they're going to deposit your salary every month. And that's not an easy thing to do. So, and just like the paperwork, like,
it's different.
Paperwork in Bolivia is kind of a yeah. So you do need someone who knows the system, knows the language to help you navigate and like get you on your feet, really.
Yeah, we're quite lucky in that sense, aren't we? Okay. Why come to Bolivia to teach English? Why? Big question.
Why? That's a good question. Well, yeah, it is a good question. Well, you can save, as we've mentioned before that. Well, before this.
you earn in the local currency or US dollars?
In the local currency. Well, they say dollars, but we're deposited in the local currency, which is the equivalent.
Yeah.
So I do get my salary in the local currency, which is Bolivianos. And basically, if you come to Santa Cruz and work as an ESL teacher, you can save and travel all of South America if you really wanted to. And Bolivia just there are so many places to visit. Like here in La Paz, we've got our Lake Titicaca, and it's beautiful. You can't even before I came to La Paz last year on holiday, I never imagined that the lake could be so big. I just thought it'd be like a river, and you can't even see the other side of it. It's like the sea. And
it feels like you're in the Mediterranean.
It's beautiful. But apart from the scenery, the people here are amazing. They're really welcoming and warm.
Helpful.
I love the culture, to be honest. Yeah, they're very helpful. And if you want to learn Spanish as well, it's a good place to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
recommend it. The weather in Santa Cruz is also incredible. Like, I feel like it's cold 3 weeks a year. I was going to say 3 weeks a month, but that's not right. 3 weeks a year.
That'd be terrible. Yeah. And the climate in Santa Cruz is really tropical.
Yeah, it's awesome. And any final last-minute advice or recommendations for anyone thinking about coming to work, teach ESL in Bolivia? Go for it.
Yeah, definitely go for it. Get your CELTA. That will help you. Like, there are usually 2 salaries here. For teachers that don't have a CELTA, you'd earn less, and you'd get a significant pay rise once you get your. You do get a pay rise once you get your CELTA, and I think that's my biggest advice. Don't just come and think that you could just teach hello, goodbye kind of thing, like without knowing what to teach. So get your CELTA. It helps a lot. It gives you loads of confidence as well as a teacher, because you get loads of techniques, and yeah, you just feel much better as a teacher as well.
I definitely think like ask questions to more experienced teachers as well, because I feel like some teachers might fall into the trap of just thinking, I'll work it out for myself. But it's so important to ask people and talk to people. And I live in a teacher house, and we sometimes, when I first started off, I was like, oh, how do you teach this? Can you give me some ideas? Can you give me some techniques? And I said to you that I ask you for some games and stuff like that. So that's also important. And in terms of the social side, I mean, we don't live together; we just work together. But we've also got to know each other outside, and we're besties now. And I think like it's important to put yourself out there, get to know people, even if like you might not necessarily think that you'll bond with them. Like get to know them, put yourself out there, because if you don't, you might feel yourself quite isolated and away from everybody.
Definitely, you do need a social circle here. Like, your experience in this country will be completely different if you're isolated and you keep to yourself, or if you have your social circle that you can meet up with like once a week, but you're just always in contact. Especially with English teachers as part of your social circle, you get better as a teacher because we learn off of each other all the time. We like give technique, like, oh, I did this with my teens and it worked really well. Like, okay, I'll try the same thing, and it would work well in my class too. So we're always learning off of each other.
Even on the weekend at like our social functions, we'll be saying, oh, do you say it like that? I say it like this, like just being typical grammar nerds or something like that. I always used to do that when I first got here because I was so excited about my new job, about my opportunity. But yeah, awesome. Well,
what was the word that we kept making fun of? Data.
Yeah, I say data, but I feel like I've learned to say things like either an American way or British way. For example, in our English, we say I have learnt, like with a T because it's irregular. I just say I've learned now. I feel like I've picked up so many Americanisms because I remember I was teaching. You go.
No, that was something that I was going to say that we didn't mention, that here in Bolivia, that like the main English that's taught here is American English. So I think we do try to like neutralize our accents a bit so that it's not too hard for the students to understand.
Yeah.
But I think like in Argentina, they focus on British English, and here it's American English.
Yeah, I was teaching an intermediate adults course last year, and we were doing the present perfect, and I wrote I've got blah 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 blah, and one of my students was like, "Teacher, isn't it I've gotten?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know." in American English, they say gotten, but we can say got in Australian English. But it's been great to like have such a big community with people from different parts of the world, because I feel like my English has gotten a lot better. Well, my teaching has gotten a lot better because I'm more aware of different ways of speaking and ways of doing things.
No, same here, to be honest. Like you become more aware of grammatical rules. Like before teaching, I'm like, I don't think we have any rules. Just like we just say it because that's the way it is. It just feels natural. But that was before teaching with my ignorance.
Yeah,
there are actually there's a structure to this English language.
Yeah.
And I think if you're thinking about becoming an English teacher, I think the most daunting part is the grammar. I don't know the grammar kind of thing. That's like the hardest part. But once you start learning about the grammar, you start grasping it so quickly because you know the structures. You just need to put a name to the structure kind of thing, but you know it.
Yeah, exactly.
So right. I think if that's any viewers, if that's like your biggest hurdle, just go for it. Yeah, you'll get it. It's just that big leap, the first leap.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think it goes back to just like talking to people and asking them about like other teachers. Maybe the way a teacher explains it doesn't work for you, but maybe you can adapt what they said to work into the way your style of teaching, because we all teach differently. We're all different teachers. But we're all trying to achieve the same goal, like a communicative lesson where people have as much opportunity as possible to speak the language.
Exactly. That's
Any
the
any
goal.
any last bits of advice or any last minute comments?
God, I don't know. If you're thinking about coming to South America, go for it. You'll really enjoy it. It's going to be something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, and it's just going to help you form your career as an English teacher. And I highly recommend it.
And we're here. Thank you so much for being my first guest on the Traveling Teachers series, Nicole. It was awesome to chat to you, and maybe we might chat to you in a year or two's time to find out where you are in your ESL journey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Such an honor to be on your first episode.
No worries. Catch you later.
Bye.